day 199 of 365, and today's message is be comfortable with the choices other people make. And what that also tells you is that you have to be comfortable with the choices that you make. And sometimes the choices that we make, especially when in our younger years, are coming from our higher self. And so an example is if you are essayed and that's the person's choice, the person that done that to you, that's the choice that they've made. You do not want to waste any time in your life trying to convince anyone that this thing has happened to you, this awful thing has happened to you. You shouldn't have to convince anyone. And it's not necessarily that people should just believe you, because unfortunately that's the way the world is, and sometimes people aren't truthful. But when you know that you are telling the truth, the Most High knows. Like it will sit on that person's soul for the rest of their life, and then some. It's for you to give yourself permission to actually heal, and don't take that on. And it's also not for you to feel like you have to play a role for other people to make other people feel better about not only their inability to comfort you in a time of great need, but their inability to recognize that they're also choosing. They're choosing to ignore the matter at hand. They're choosing to side with someone who's done an awful thing to you, whatever it is. But the flip side of that, so being comfortable with the choices other people make is also about you being comfortable then with the choices that you make, and also to understand that everyone isn't going to understand the choices you make. And I think a key example is that sometimes in life you're offered everything that you want, but at that time, because of trauma, because of your experience, you are not healed enough to even accept that the thing that you want, the things that you love, the people that you love, you're not in a space to actually hold it. And so it's almost like how I see it reflecting is that your higher self has stepped in and has just said, not yet, that's all. It's like, not never. We're not saying no for always, we're just saying no for now, because one, you're more than likely to cause yourself more harm because of being unhealed, and that trigger is happening for a reason. It's happening so that you can take yourself away and do the work that you need to do to ensure that when you are ready and you do step forward into the things that you want to do and love the people that you want to love, you're actually capable of doing it for real. Like, love isn't a joke, it's not some like gimmick. And you know, when it's real, when it's heartfelt, like, love is friendship, real friendship. And I think that is something that is often so heavily overlooked. Like, people can sometimes frown upon friendship because they see sex and lust as like the ultimate goal. But it's like, friendship is so beautiful, and it's not something that should be taken lightly. Like, to be able to trust someone with yourself is such a beautiful and powerful thing. And so it's often also how we end up losing things, because we're not aware of the importance that friendship entails. But back to being comfortable with the choices you make. Your choices aren't always going to make sense, not only to other people, but to yourself. And I just want to say, be kind to yourself and have compassion. You won't get to 444 on the clock. You won't get to the place that you need to be, or where you are even right now, if you're not paying attention when your higher self instructs. And it's not like there's some big like calling and you get some, sometimes you're just, what seems like autopilot is actually your higher self stepping in and guiding you, because that's what you need at that moment in time. So that's it. Like, allow people to sit with the choices that they make, you know. And that's what I'm saying. I think the way the world is set up in such a way, like, where it suggests that we can bring about justice and blah blah blah. And we've seen, especially recently, I mean, it's always been the case, come on, let's be real. The way women are treated, period, is awful and has been awful for generations. And so, but especially a lot of the stuff from the news recently about, like, the judge's decision around serious things like rape is absolutely ridiculous. But the fact of the matter is, the external world gives this idea that it can bring about justice, and sometimes the reality is that people don't go to jail, people don't get the punishment that they deserve for doing terrible things. But I promise you, those things mark a human being's soul. And whatever you can believe whatever you want to believe. And I guess in saying that, it's like some kind of like awareness for anyone who feels like, oh, people just get away with stuff and they can do whatever. No, when people do hideous, disgusting things, that is a mark on their soul. And yeah, it's really, really deep, which is also another reason why it's important to be conscious of your choices, but also understand that when the stakes are high and when you're in a space of survival and you've got trauma that you need to heal, your choices are going to be made from your higher self. And so whilst you might kick yourself at the time and feel like you're not understanding, it doesn't make sense, do not don't betray yourself, don't abandon yourself, stay the path, because actually, yeah, you'll get to a point, I believe you will get to a point that you'll be able to breathe and you'll be able to say, you'll be able to look back and think, oh my gosh, thank you. And so yeah, really, I guess, really give yourself permission to feel. Feeling is really, really important. I know that it is something that is kind of frowned upon, but you need to feel. You need to feel in order to grow. If you choose to avoid feeling, then you're choosing to avoid growth. It's so deep, but the beautiful thing about now is that there's so much information available to us, but also there's so much information, so much we can learn, and there's so many people actually doing the work. And so it isn't as if you're doing this thing all alone, but your stuff is your stuff. No one can take your stuff on for you, and that's the sad reality of it. No matter what course someone's selling you or what guidance someone has to offer, your stuff is your stuff, and only you can actually do the work. And a real teacher, healer, spiritualist, if you like, will always guide you back to you. No one has the answers for you but yourself. People can show you the ways they've done things and all of that stuff, but the reality is that your path is your path. You have to be brave enough to walk it, and you have to be willing and able to accept the choices you make and the choices other people make. And a huge part of that, of course, is loving yourself, because when you love yourself enough, you aren't begrudging anyone of anything. You have enough love to understand that this is what they need to do for themselves. So yeah, that's it. Allow people to have their choices.